Welcome to This Commerce Life. We are an unscripted podcast dedicated to small businesses and entrepreneurs in the retail and consumer packaged goods space in Canada and the United States.
I am Phil Chang, co-host and co-founder.
And I'm Kenny Vanucci, co-host and co-founder of This Commerce Life.
Our love is the journey to retail, and our passion is sharing that with you every week.
I said, I think we already lost Pete.
Well, I struggle with these all the time.
Don't worry about it. You're like me then.
We all struggle with these things.
Not that one. He's much more of a techie.
Yeah.
I have kids that I just get them to do all my stuff.
I have a 15-year-old that does the same for me.
Yeah, mine's 26. And if he can't do it, I text the sister. She's 27. One of them is going to be able to figure it out, but sure the hell ain't going to be me.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to go online and look for the answer, and I'm not going to spend 6 days trying to figure it out. Yeah. Show me how to do it. I'll learn it, and then we're done. And don't change it on me, just in case.
Just in case, yeah.
Well, sometimes I screw with him. I change things on him all the time, just for fun.
I don't like it, though. It pisses me off because I can't find anything.
Well, I have great people at the store that do all this for me, so I'm okay.
Thank God. Thank God. Are you at the store right now?
No, I came home, had dinner.
Lovely.
Told my wife somebody actually wanted to talk to me, and she didn't believe it. So,
well, you should bring her on and say, listen.
You can tell her to come on. We'll tell her. We actually are very excited,
and they're interested in what I have to say.
Yeah. Or I can send you this clip. So once we're done the recording, I'll send you this part. So you can tell her Phil and Kenny are interested in talking to Peter Boyd.
Yeah, we're actually legit interested.
There, see, I actually said it, the whole thing out loud.
All right, yeah. I've got it.
Yeah, you got it. You got the recording, man. I excited to meet you because I've heard a lot about you. I hear a lot about you from everybody, actually. From the Farming Karma guys to Kenny to we had the Enactus folks on. Like, everybody's got something to say about Peter, and it's all amazing stuff. So I am excited. I'm excited to finally be able to say hello and put a face to the name.
Well, I appreciate that. Me and Dirt are about the same age, so we've been around for a while. So
I don't think you're quite as old as Dirt there.
No,
man.
I don't think so.
You're okay. Mm-hmm. I think you're okay.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Well, the funny part is they keep asking me when I'm leaving, and I kept extending it.
Where are you going to go?
So
tell them, what am I going to do? You like working.
Exactly right. I don't like it. I love it.
But that's the beauty of it. I mean, some people ask us all the time too. Like, because I have a lot of friends who are teachers or in a bunch in government, et cetera, right? And it's, where we're retiring at 60 or 65, and they're all planning out. And what are you going to do? I said, I don't know. I'll retire. I guess the day I die is probably the day I retire. I like what I do. I like our industry. I like the people. Phil and I like doing this shit. We enjoy the podcasting. There's just so many cool stories and cool people to meet. Like, what would I do at home?
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Make Amelia crazy is what you would do.
Yeah. My wife. Yeah. I mean, she doesn't want me at home 24/7. I could entertain myself. I got hobbies. I could do coins. I could do paper money. I've got hockey cards and baseball. I mean, I can keep busy.
No. You wind up building businesses out of it. That's what you wind up like.
Yeah, probably.
I think from what I've heard of you, Peter, I feel like you're the same, but I feel like it doesn't matter what you did, wherever you went to do something, you probably wind up running the thing just because, just because it winds up being something that you catch your passion for. And then next thing, you're running something
with
that,
it, right?
You never planned to run. Right. So,
yeah. It's true. 8 years ago when I got the franchise, I would have never thought that it would have gone in the direction that it did. I had this plan where I was going to do my term, ride off into the sunset, but I have 2 years left on my first term, and I've already asked for 5 more. I don't know. It's the joy that comes along with it that makes such a difference.
How cool is that, though?
Yeah, I totally am blessed at what I get to do every day. That's for sure.
Well, we're excited to have you on. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll give you sort of the quasi rules of engagement as many rules as him and I have. There are no rules. Next 45 minutes, 60 minutes is really yours. What I'd really love to hear from you is, where you sort of came from, why you got into retail, what you're doing right now. I promise you, we won't sit and talk about the store for an hour. It's up to you. Unless you want to talk about the store, it's your call. And we can go from there. So tonight we have Peter Boyd on. Peter is the owner of the franchise of a YIG franchise, you're an independent grocer, a Loblaws company in Kelowna. He has been recognized by the Canadian government for outstanding hiring practices. He is well known in his community. He just had an anniversary in the store that it seemed like half of Kelowna and half the province might have showed up for. Perpetually trying to do the right thing for small companies, for immigrants, etc. You may get embarrassed, but Peter, that's tough beans. It's our podcast. Really and truly, like I would say, like a retail rock star. Like really and truly, not necessarily running, the biggest store on the planet, but a really, really important store in his community and a really, really important individual in his community. So Peter, the next, like I say, 45 to 60. Little bit of history. I'd love to know how you got into the retail game and how you got to where you are now. Don't take a ton of time because I know you want to talk about all the other cool stuff you do, which we are thrilled to talk about. So my friend, light it up.
1989, there was 4 other people turned down the Kelowna store. And I told them I'd come up for 6 months and never left. I watched Kelowna grow from a very, very small town into something that is just I'm so very proud of today. In 89, when it came up, they were just starting to pull out the grapes. And
Right.
We ended up becoming Napa Valley North.
Right.
And then after that was the big golf course push.
Yeah.
So we became Palm Springs North. And then we've got a lot of technology has come to town. There's a Netflix office that produces a number of shows that's here in town that nobody really knows about.
I didn't even know that.
There's, so it's, we're becoming Silicon Valley North. And now what I'm hoping to do, and I see in my lifetime, is that we become the California Valley North, because I believe that with the brilliant young minds like you met with Enactus and the university that's in our community now, we could feed Canada quite easily, and do it properly, where you do the vertical farming, which allows us to use only 10% of the water. Get the prairies to promote the heck out of the oats so that we can switch to oat milk instead of almond milk.
Right.
Almond is one of the biggest users of water on the planet.
Copious amounts of water.
Yeah, and it's so those are the kind of things that's what I see my Kelowna, how we've kind of graduated, and there's so many brilliant minds coming, and that leads to the part of the immigration that there's a lot of people coming into moving to Kelowna and the Okanagan Valley that come into the university, or it's their first time in Canada, and they usually come with 1 and sometimes 2 degrees.
Right.
We have a dentist that's working in the salad bar right now, so that he's trying to improve his English, and then we help try and connect them to someone in their field. Even if they can just go and work side by side with a dentist that he can do some assistance and learn the Canadian processes. And we've done that with a number of, there's been accountants, there's been doctors, there's been lawyers, there's all these brilliant minds are coming, and all we're doing is we're giving them the first Canadian job and give them a Canadian resume, and then try and help them find work in their field. And I have a real connection to the immigration side of the community because I sit on the board for Kelowna Community Resources, and one of the arms of it is immigration. So I'm connected to that, they phone me up. They say, hey, we've got a person coming in. Can you find him a job? And we're probably running at about 105% on capacity for employees. We always carry a few extra because we know that there's going to be turnover as they get their English skills and are ready to go. And it's good for the store because it builds a diverse workforce, but it also connects us to the community in a way that maybe some of the other stores aren't willing to put in the extra effort at the beginning. One of the toughest things is communication. And as you see, I don't even master the English language, let alone someone else's. Thank goodness
You do just fine.
Jeez.
So thank goodness for Google Translate. We have I think we have 11 displaced Ukrainians right now, and for some reason, when they come from Central Eastern Europe, there's not a lot of English has been spoken there, so they're virtually have zero. So we allow them to carry the phones, and we use Google Translate, and we get the job done. And once they understand what they do, it's incredible how hard they work. And we find that with so many different refugees or immigrants or international students.
Right.
It's just a real bonus for us.
Sort of the story of the immigrant, though, right? I mean, I look at, like, my dad's family came from Italy. My mom's side, she was born in Grand Forks, but they were the first Doukhobors that came over at the turn of the century. Phil's folks came from China, from Hong Kong. Mm-hmm. And it's, they come, and no different, I guess I'm assuming that you're Ukrainians. I mean, they're running from pretty complex and serious issues, but they come and they really want to bust it to do better for themselves and their family, etc. Right? Well, it does seem to be built into it almost.
They're often quite talented too, right? They just need.
Many are super educated.
They just need a chance, right?
Give them a chance.
Yeah.
It's with the Ukrainians, the way the federal government was amazing to bring them so quick and allow them to get to work, but because they gave them the work permit right away, the government, the support from the government was a much shorter time.
Right.
When someone is a refugee, they can get up to 2 years. So the Ukrainians got basically 6 weeks. So they had
to adjust to a whole new country, a whole new set of rules, new language.
Well, what really compounded it was a lot of them were without the husbands or the male of the family because they were still back home fighting.
Right.
And you have a mom with 2 or 3 kids come, and then they have they want to work, but they have to worry about childcare.
For sure.
So some of the times what we had done was we would put 2 families. We'd have the moms work opposite, so that
they could trade.
They could look after.
They could trade,
which allowed them to, and it also saved the money because they would charge each other. So it was that's a win-win. So you just have to. You have to be able to think a little bit different and make sure that if you put your staff first, it ends up coming back and paying you tenfold in return.
Peter, let me ask you something. I want to do 2 things. I want to back up in time. So prior to 89, prior to Kelowna, where were you? What were you doing? Mm-hmm. And then I do want to ask you, so this propensity of yours to work with, whether it's the immigrants, refugees, new people, et cetera, was this something you did even prior to 89, or was there some stage in your life that something happened and you woke up one morning and said, shit, this is wrong, I need to do something? Like, just so I get context, a little bit of the history of it. So, like, prior to 89, where were you? And then, like, why this out of a Peter boy? Like, why this?
Before 89, I was I worked at an Extra Foods in Surrey.
Oh, okay.
It's part of the the store that I came to in Kelowna was an Extra Foods for 26 years. And before that, I was my brother and I had some convenience stores. And tell you my first job. Guess what my first job in the industry was? At the age of 13, I thought I had died and gone to heaven. I was making $2 an hour, and guess what I was doing?
You
I was
bagging?
No, I was burning cardboard.
Burning cardboard, baby.
Oh my
That's the
gosh.
old school recycling that we don't
The
want to talk about.
little shop easy in Cloverdale
Okay.
had a furnace in the back, and that was
That's-
my first job.
That's
Oh
awesome.
wow.
And
Yeah.
burning stuff at 13? Are you kidding me? Like, that's like a freaking dream job.
No kidding.
Like, oh my God, I would have been thrilled.
And
My first job was at a shoe repair in Trail.
oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I have a friend that had a store in Trail for many years. But then one of the things I did was my brother bought a shop easy in Ladner, so I went to work for him. I took a year off and went and became a dairy herdsman. I was 3 days away from going to school in Chilliwack.
Yeah.
To become a proper dairy herdsman, because I just loved the year on the farm I spent. And my brother phones me up and he says, "Hey, I'm buying a convenience store. Do you want to come and be partners with me?" And it's been groceries ever since.
So how old are you at this point? How old?
At that point, I was about 20.
So about 20. So you've been pretty much in retail
Wow.
since
Forever.
Okay.
Yeah, well, trust me, I feel that
Since
pain.
last year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
My
long
dad
year.
was in it.
Okay.
My dad was a meat cutter.
Oh, cool. With who?
Okay.
And he was with Overweighty for a while.
Okay. Yeah.
And then when we had our store in Aldergrove, he decided he wanted to have his own little shop, so he opened it up. And when I wasn't at the convenience store, I would go over and help him break beef, because he did a lot of there's a lot of farms out there, so
For sure.
he would do custom cutting and that.
Oh, awesome.
And so I was in over the 2 years with on and off with him. I learned to cut the perfect steak. I wasn't cutting any of those door wedges. I said that to one of my employees the other day. I was looking at the steak he had cut. And I said, what are we propping the door open with this?
They probably looked. You thought, what?
What is it? Yeah, he didn't know what I was talking. But then I showed him, and it was all good.
Well, you got to learn,
hilarious.
right? That's how you learn.
Absolutely. And if you can do it with a little bit of fun,
Absolutely. Why not the hell, right?
They don't worry about you when you come and hang out in the department or something.
Yeah.
For sure.
You know, it's we spend so much time working, we have to enjoy it.
Well, otherwise, what's the point of all this? So so your dad was like the small business and the customer service and butcheries, grocery, I'll call it a sub department of grocery, whatever. But you've really been on it. You've really been in it for a really long haul between the shopping and that. Okay, wow.
Yeah, it's I would do. Mr. Sato had one of the first greenhouses in Surrey.
Yeah,
and he would grow these cherry tomatoes, and we would get 60 cents an hour for watering, and you'd come out and your arms would be covered. But that's why I don't eat tomatoes today. I had too many back then. But
that's
it was
awesome.
It was pretty cool. And then on the other end of our street was Cal McBain's sort of a general store.
Okay.
You know, it had the 3 aisles, and you'd walk in and you'd ask Mr. McBain if there was a particular nut that you needed for your bike, and he'd say, "Okay, you watch the store. I'm going to go in the back for a minute." He'd come out, sure enough, he'd have the nut, and that's kind of where I got my idea of how I wanted my store to be in Kelowna.
Right.
Because, you know, as you say, it's like there's so much competition that we're up against right now. Like there's 2 Walmart supercenters.
Right.
There's 2 superstore supercenters. There's a massive Costco.
I'll say the Costco is huge in Kelowna. From Trail, we used to go to that one.
Yeah. And then, but you should see the new one that they've just built. It's even bigger
than the old one.
Yeah.
The old one was already big enough.
Yeah. And this one is bigger. It's right beside the superstore now.
Oh,
there's and then there's there's about 8 Save-Ons in the area that between Coopers and Save-On.
Right.
And over the old Overweighties, there's a Safeway. There's it just goes on and on and on.
It sounds like Vancouver, not What the
Well,
heck? Like,
and,
how
you know,
many?
how
How
big's
many
Kelowna now,
stores
Peter?
are in?
About
Like,
125,000, 130,000 now?
There's about 160 proper, I
Oh, is
would
it that?
say,
Okay.
and about 260 in the valley.
Yeah, if you're pushing all the way up to down to
Yeah,
Penticton and then up to
Peachland
Vernon.
to Vernon
Right.
type.
That's
So
a lot of people, though. That's really grown. Jesus.
it really has since I started. But I knew I was never going to be the Walmarts or the superstores, and
Thank God.
nothing against them, but
It's a different retail.
that's just a different way of
It's
life.
different retail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we started to change, and it was ever so slowly, and as we got to kind of make us a little bit different than everybody else, that's when the customer started to kind of see what was going on. The award from the federal government was a real honor, and that seemed to turn the tide in where people noticed that our hiring practices were very different. We have probably 30% of our staff are international or new Canadians or refugees or displaced, and there's another 10% that have diverse abilities. I have a real passion for giving the underdog I don't know if that's the correct way to describe it, but I want everyone to have an opportunity to prove themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they do, and sometimes you have to help them find something that they can do.
Right.
And by doing that, it's created a bond to our city where everybody has a reason to come to my store. There's the family members and extended family members of the kids with diverse ability, and I call everyone a kid because there's nobody older than me in the store. So they have unique gifts that they bring to the store. I was able to do one story for a young man named Kenny, and he was really a very quiet but very dedicated person. He came in and he was very precise on how he put the cans on the shelf. I have Ethan now that started as a courtesy clerk, and from there he challenged us to do more, and he started stocking shelves, and now he looks after my dairy. And when he's in my dairy, I don't have to worry about anything. I know it's getting rotated, I know it's going to be full, and I know that the cooler's going to be in good shape.
That's awesome.
I was able to do a story on him for Loblaws for the internal
Awesome
system, and it's just, he was so happy to be celebrated. But it's such an amazing story that we get to tell.
So what brings this? Why do this though, Peter? Like, is this something that your folks instilled in you, or what? Like, especially the underdog thing, because typically those who push harder for the underdog, and I know that's not the right terminology, but we're going to use it anyway. But you know what? It's typically because either someone gave them chances or breaks. Like, you don't have to do any of this, right? You can hire whoever you want. Yeah. You can spend as much time or as little time with people as you so choose. And you walk in a lot of retail stores like we do. We've been in retail. I've been in retail for 43 years now, and at all levels. So, and I still walk stores, and you can tell when you walk into stores by how staff react to you or don't react to you. That that's from the top down, right? That's instilled typically by who's leading the store. So why be like this? Like, why is Pete the way Pete is?
I think, as a younger person, you grow up and you don't really want to agree that your parents might be right.
Oh, 100%. We're all that.
But
no, they're all wrong.
But that's exactly.
Except us as parents, that was different.
Yeah,
except for us.
We knew exactly what we were doing.
So listen, yeah.
But they plant a seed.
Yeah.
And they try and water it, and they hope that it grows, and one day it will come to fruition. And I think that's what happened. When one of my youngest memories I have that stuck with me is we would go down we had to go down to Johnson's farm. My mom and dad were picking potatoes off the back of the digger. And that was because that was the only work that was available. And we ate a lot of potatoes because we got to bring home a bunch of the pieces.
Right.
And when you have 4 boys in the family, they're big eaters. And I have 2 older brothers, 1 younger. And so that was, and then, other things were my dad, he worked very hard. He wasn't always successful, but he worked hard. Mom was the kind of the glue that held the financial side together. She would, she taught for 30 years, I guess, piano after school. That was a golden rule. If we made a sound between 3:30 and 6:30, we were done. But she would, and I watched her stretch food. No one was ever turned away from our table.
Right.
There was always somebody, hanging around, and eventually, I did 1 or 2 things, and she was amazed at it, and it felt so good to be good to people rather than being the other way.
Yeah.
It became a kind of a self-feeding, right? It is when you get those feelings of success or the feelings of joy or the full heart because you made a difference in somebody's life, it just makes you want to do more. And I think that's probably the selfish part about it because it makes me feel so good.
Yeah.
But I think it's okay because of what we're doing for the people around us, whether it be the new Canadian or that person that just needs a conversation.
Right.
I think there's 7 of my original employees from 1989 still work for me.
Still working for you.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's a lot that are in the 20s. And we've built a kind of an atmosphere in the store where they're hiring as many people as I am that have a diverse ability or someone that needs some support or whatever, or a family member that's in trouble. We try and work with anyone that needs help if we can do it, and it's safe for the store. Then we will certainly do it. And you see people blossom and grow over the years. And some of my greatest memories is somebody will come back 10 years later, and I know that I know them, but I can't remember their name. But they thank me for something I said to them, or this is one young man in Kelowna, and his dad and I played hockey together. And when it came time, he came in to work for me, and he was a grocery manager. And I said to him, Andy, you need to go back to school. You're too smart for the grocery industry. And he went back to school. And I ran into him a couple of years ago, and he's the controller of one of the bigger companies in Kelowna here. And he thanked me. He said, "Thank you for giving me the advice you did." And it's, sometimes it's good advice, and sometimes it's not so good. But when you see that spark in somebody, or you see that light that is bright, shining so bright, you want them to succeed
for sure.
And at that time, we were very tight, very lean on labor, working for corporate, and there wasn't a lot of changes coming down the pipe. And so I thought, you know what, go try something else. You've got the ability for it, and it's great to see.
Good for you.
Well, I mean, your voice helped to change the entire trajectory of his life, right? Like that's
big.
That's pretty significant, right? Like,
do you know what I mean? Like,
really,
and why not?
That's a really big deal. Like, that's amazing.
But for the longest time, Like if you would have asked me 5 years ago to come on to a podcast or have a conversation like this,
Mhm.
I would have avoided it like the plague.
Seriously, eh?
Because I didn't believe that. My mom always taught me that if you're going to do something positive, or if you're going to be generous, or you're going to give something or donate or whatever it is, the best form of it is to be anonymous,
Quiet and humble.
because
Yeah.
then that's the true the
Right.
true gift of giving, right? Because then you're getting nothing back for it. And when the government offered me the award, I said thank you very much, but no. And one of the directors for Loblaws, that was the HR manager at the time, was there, and she said, absolutely not, you're going, I'll come with you. And she changed the way I looked at things. She says, Peter, if you don't do something like this, how are you going to inspire the next person?
Nobody can learn from you, Peter, if you don't, like, you don't have to take the accolades. You're right. You don't have to wait for the pat on the back, but you got to teach people. And we have to, as a society, teach each other to be a lot kinder.
Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to teach in the,
good for you,
in the store. You have to work hard. If you want to work for us, you have to work hard.
It's fine.
You have to be respectful.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that you can't do it in a positive manner.
Right. Or in a fun way. Like you can have fun.
Yeah.
I want to ask you. I want to ask you about because I think the other half of that equation is the things that we hear from brands about you. So brands that also need a shot, right? Avi and Binny talked about that. Being able to bring you a new product, right? And then having you adopt that. It's no easy feat, right? Like any entrepreneur will tell you, any startup little brand will tell you that every one of them, right, has an emotional moment where they go, we will never leave this retailer because they gave us our first shot, right?
Well, the time you spend with Craig, this time you spend with Simran.
Yeah.
I mean, Rattan will talk highly of you. Like everybody who deals with you from the sides that we know, does speak that way and does speak quite highly. But a lot of it is, and it's typically not that, oh yeah, he cuts me big orders or that. It's that my first order,
he gave me a shot
through it, showed me how to do it.
Yeah.
Didn't freak out if I didn't understand something, like all that,
grocery. One brand said, he said, no, not right now. Go fix this and then come back.
Yeah.
Right. Which again, I think is really amazing. Right. Like, cause I think that, in the same way that new immigrants need it, like new brands need it, right? Because you go, I have a great product,
absolutely.
But if no one's going to take it, how the hell am I going to sell this thing,
and
right?
Tough.
There's only so much I can do online or whatever, right? So
I mean, how do you get a crack at it? Because we came from it. Like I bought for London, for London Drugs for 16 years. I was with them for 26, but I bought for 17 years actually. Phil bought for Target for the time they were around. So we came from that, and probably even a bit more London than Target, because you guys were corporate America, is that we were, we are owned by a BC family. Our family did quite well, but it was very much about when the smaller guys came in, and especially if they were local, the mandate was, you should sit down and give them time. It may not work, no big deal. Some buyers are better. Like for me, I would try to help them, say, listen, your cogs are all screwy, or, if you do this, you're going to be bankrupt. Like you got to, here's how to play this. So when you go see the Overweighty boys or the Loblaw guys, like get your shit together, because, they're going to eat you up if you're not careful. Right. Yeah. But that should be our role. We're trying to help people within our communities, because as you're good to your community. Well, what does your community do for you then? They're good to you.
Yeah.
They're like Avi and Binny. I mean, it was
not a great story.
Just amazing to see them, how well we just brought in they were able to deliver us the night before the pallet of their new zero.
Cocktails?
Well, I say mocktails, but Binny.
I know I don't like the cocktail. I know they tried. I'm with you. It's a mocktail, but they're very good.
Binny said to me that's a little bit old school. It was too past tense or something.
Is it past?
I laughed. I don't know. Okay. She said that you go with the 0% and whatever
it's too complicated.
Yeah. They got it in time, and when I started looking at it, I says, there's something not right, because you'd touch the top of the box and it would pop open.
Oh,
So what happened
weird.
was, when they made the boxes, the guys
Right.
that produced the boxes actually cut the tag the same width as what the slot in the box was. Like, you know how
So
you
it's
push
not
it
catching.
in
It's
and
not
it
catching
doesn't
Yeah,
catch,
yeah.
underneath.
So it doesn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So here's Abby and Benny and one of their producers Saturday night in there with little stickers.
The little
They
round
took it all
stickers to hold
apart,
them
put
down.
it- yeah, and that's. But it was, it was one of those things that, it wasn't right, but
Whatever.
it worked, and now it's great, and we've sold over half a pallet of it already.
That's
It's
crazy.
just
Eh?
flying.
It's a good product.
See?
I've had it in
Had it?
Jiva's offices. Yeah, well, because Jiva distributes it too, right?
Right.
Via Craig, and I really like it. I really do, actually. Like, I didn't think I could do a lot of the zero alcohol, and not because it's not the alcohol. It's much.
Yeah.
A lot of time it just really didn't taste very good.
It doesn't taste good.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't think so. That's just my opinion. But now
There's
with
always
a lot of the
there's always an aftertaste, right? Like when they're
Yeah.
subbing in.
Yeah, because they
I don't
don't-
know if it's
I
the
don't get it.
sugar or whatever,
Not
but
too
there's
sure what
always
it is.
there's always a little.
But like
something
Opus,
that's-
I really like.
Yeah,
I like
Opus
the
I
I like the
yeah.
farming karma stuff. Like there's a
Yeah.
few out there that I could drink. I would really sub out so that you can stay coherent and have a nice conversation over the, as opposed to having too many cocktails.
That category is just
It's gone crazy.
exploding.
It's gone crazy.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what we're bringing in. It's on the zero beers, they're just flying.
But the young people seem to like it. Like
Yeah.
when we were 19, or 19, we we're probably already 2 years into the bars. But if
Yeah.
we were waiting to be legal, I mean, we all ran. Like I find with my son and all his age, like he's 26 now, but at 19, none of them, like we ran to the bars
Yeah.
because that's where we all hung out. These guys don't do any of that. They don't really care. Beer here and there.
Yeah.
Like
My 21-year-old is like that. He's at the bar every Saturday night with his friends. Doesn't drink. And I said to him, "Listen, you're in uni now, like so you don't need to hide things from me. You just if
Mom's
you're
not
gonna
here,
drink, drink." And he's like, "No, really, Dad. Like we just don't. Like it's like there's one guy who has a beer." And I go, "So why are you at the bar?" He goes, "No, it's fun. It's fun to hang out, right?" But he said most of the bar doesn't drink, right? And I didn't actually believe him. Like so we had this conversation, and then I said to him, "You know what? Next time, do me a favor. So when you're at the bar, just count for me. Just do a simple count, like how many drinks are on the bar, and then how many of them are alcoholic." And he sent me a text going, "Hey, so 25 guys at the bar. I think 10 have a beer, right?
Mhm.
And then like 2 more might have alcohol, and everybody else is into a soda or something different, right?" But he said, there's 13 of them that are smoking pot. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
so, but you know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
it is a different, it's a
to me, it is at our age, 25 in the
Like,
bar, like in trail,
no, come
25
on.
guys in the bar, 25
Yeah.
guys drinking beer or hardball.
Listen,
highball.
when I was
That's it.
underage, I played in a band so I could get into the bar through the back door, so I could drink,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah,
Different time,
Yeah.
right?
yeah,
Yeah, it's in my store. I have my wine shop in the middle, and beginning of the aisle after the wine is my 0.5. So I love my wine shop. I love working
Right.
in there,
I bet.
talking to people and whatnot. And it's amazing how many people you see from all ages that are looking for that 0.5.
Right. I never would have
crazy.
thought, seriously,
Yeah.
going back 5-10 years, not going to happen. Like I would have said, not in a million years would you'd see like non-alcohol beer, non-alcohol wine for sure, definitively non-alcohol spirits. Like
Yeah.
what's the point? And now you're thinking, shit, I wish we had this years ago.
There's a new wine that has come out. It's called 1%. So it's considered a non-alcoholic.
Non-alcoholic.
It's
Really?
brewed, or it's prepared at an actual winery that has gone away from producing alcohol wines
Seriously.
and just produces this 1%.
Local?
There's 3. Yeah, it's down in Summerland.
Oh, okay.
And
Wow.
I wish I could remember the name of the where it flipped, but it was a conscious decision that the owners made, and they flipped it, and they have 3 now, and they're looking to expand. So
Really?
Okay, Peter, that's a podcast for us. Love to have someone like that on.
Yeah.
So if you're going to use your influence for us, we'd love to hear that
Yeah.
story.
yeah, he would. He's
Plus,
such
we love
a
local. Love local. Well, Phil's Ontario, so we got to cut him some slack. But love BC local.
yeah. It's a really unique story that, and it was based, I think, on his wife. They made the choice based on his wife's diet or health, and it's just a whole new industry for him. So
How cool is that?
It's a pretty cool story.
That's
One
awesome.
wine. That's
You know, when I was at the food store back in a month ago,
Yeah.
at the food show,
Yeah.
It was like a second Christmas for me, right? As I'm going up and down the aisles, seeing everything and talking, and you know, you look for these little jewels, and I found this one particular jewel that I don't know, can I say the name?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's,
Well, if
it's
you
called,
push people, push them. Why not?
it's called Newbie. Okay.
Okay.
GNUBEE. And it was originally, and this is why I love the story. It was the family created this product for a friend of the family that had a child on the spectrum.
Yeah.
It was struggling. They were struggling to get them to eat healthy. So they came up with this little shake, and it's in a you know, the soft packs for the baby food.
Yeah.
Just like that. And it's got a screw top where it's got the straw at the top.
Yeah.
Nice and easy to eat.
Kids eat applesauce like this now.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they came up with it, and they took all the chemicals out of it, so it didn't trigger anything. And I love the story. So I introduced him to Canuck Place,
Right.
or Canuck Autism, and the Okanagan Autism, and I brought him in my store, and I'm pushing. We've had one demo, and we're going to have another one, and the product is great. It's it doesn't have that much sugar in it for the size of it, and you can take it when you're hiking. You can take it.
That's fantastic.
Between sports and all these, and it's just a unique product that is a family operated. It's out of Burnaby, and it's just a great story.
That's another one that we can tag this into the podcast, Peter. We'll put on the podcast notes with a link and help people direct it, because there's a lot of people who have children obviously on the spectrum that any help that any of us can give anybody.
It's a great looking product.
Awesome.
Yeah, I have
you know what's really funny is it's marketed for kids, but honestly, I feel like anyone could take it, right? Like anyone could just take it as a snack on the way. Like they've got some really cool flavors. It looks great.
They've got two types. One, there's a younger version, and then there's a what is it? 0 to 9 and 9, or 2 to 9 and 9 to 99. Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Any you fall in this category?
It's like we have six of our kids, 5 or 6 of our kids that work for us are on the spectrum, and they are just amazing people. You invest a little more time in the training,
right?
When you do, they are never late. They don't phone in sick. They come in and do a good job. They don't try and cut corners. If you have to do something this way,
that's
you
how
make
it's
sure
done.
you show it to them right the first time, because it's hard to change them if you don't teach them proper, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's you know, and when you get to do things like that, there's 2 sister-in-laws that have they started with one sauce. When I first met them 5 years ago, they thought I was an interior health inspector and going to ask them for a temp report at their food show I saw them at. But they've now developed this Worcestershire sauce that is vegan.
Yeah,
it's the only Canadian-made one in Canada that's a vegan product that you can now. They can have these. They're the drinks where you have to have the Worcestershire in. So it's
okay. What's the brand name, Peter? Brand name. What's the brand name?
Unami.
Umami.
They have 3 sauces. and then they have 3 of these bags of the grains where you can make the salads.
Yep.
But the winner for them, and I've already introduced them to a couple of potentials, is their Worcestershire sauce, because it's unique, it tastes great, and it's an opportunity that not a lot of Canadians have because nobody's making it for them. There's one made out of, I think there's one made in the U.S. that is not near the quality that theirs is. So,
how cool
and
is
it's
that?
local, so I love it.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Umami is that?
Umami.
Umami. Okay, got it.
Phil looks them up, and then we can tag.
I'm looking them up because I want to be able to tag.
No, because if anything, I mean, we just love it. You know what it is? If we can give anybody a boost or a shot or an extra kick, then we should do it.
I'm also kind of a serial shopper, so sometimes what happens is when podcast guests share things, I buy.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, if you ever decide to come to Kelowna, okay, I will take you and introduce you to so many different amazing, unique opportunities to try. And we got a wine shop, so that kind of doubles down on what you can do.
Ready to go, baby.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
We just launched the Enactus Unusually Good ciders.
So tell me, give me that one, Peter. So I know you did the side, but how did that come into you? Did they come find you? Did you go find them? Because they spoke extremely highly of you. I think you listened to the podcast.
Those guys
it was very flattering. I mean, but for all the right reasons. They meant it. They really and truly have a ton of respect for you. So how did they come in?
I think it's the same thing as what we do for most of the new people that want to present at the store. We listen to what they have to say, and if I can see even a remote chance of being able to help them in any way, I want to jump on board to do it. And there was one of the professors, Kai. We've been family friends for a long time, and she decided she was going to send me a quick note and said, "Hey, would you talk to my students? They want to show you this product." And I saw the product and I thought, wow, you saw how good the packaging was, right?
Fantastic.
It's absolutely beautiful. So I thought, you know what? I can sell this, because if you stand there and talk to your customers, they'll and tell the story of what it is.
Absolutely. They'll buy right in.
So many times they'll buy it.
For sure.
And we've had multiple orders from them, and one day they said, "Hey, would you talk? We need to shoot a few pictures in the store, and would you mind saying a few words?" And the rest is kind of history. So it's been a real honor. They phoned me from, or they sent me a text from Montreal. And said something unusually good has just happened. And unbeknownst to me, I guess they had put in, they get to recommend who they think is somebody that's helped them. And I guess whatever they told the national board, they ended up, I was chosen as the national supporter. So
team advisor of the year, I believe, is the award.
Is that what?
Not that I looked it up or anything like that.
Yeah, I have to tell you, it was a really I was proud. I may have shed a tear at the time, because sometimes you get recognized and you're just proud of what you were part of. And what I told them was, I said, you know what? It's an amazing gesture to be given anything national. There's not that many people get that opportunity, and I've had it a few times now. Mm-hmm. But knowing that is what our next generation of business people are.
How good is that?
Oh, it just sets the world on fire. We Absolutely. Have got such a brilliant group of people, and it's not just because I watched a lot of the Enactus presentations, especially as it got into the next rounds, and some of what they're doing is phenomenal. It's all a social program where it's doing good along the way, and if you could be just a small part of that, wow, what a celebration for you.
We the two of us were talking about how you just like when we were around the Enactus, like McKenna and Mandy were on the show, and you just feel like such a lightweight, right? Like what they're doing at their age.
Yes.
Well, I was sneaking into bars so I could drink at that age, right?
And they're trying to change the world.
They're trying to change the world. They were talking about one of them was talking about being on the plane with the Italian team who was trying to figure out who had figured out how to import shea butter. And I was laughing with Kenny because I said, I don't think I know how to do that now, let alone
exactly.
Like at 20, I didn't know where my head or my ass was, right? Like, let alone like shea butter. What's shea butter? Like, what does import mean? Like, what? It's just this.
But all of it,
ridiculous. Like the talent level, and then the like it's just these.
It's just everything they do to walk by a field, look at apples on the ground, and go ask a farmer.
I know.
What do you do with that?
The
like,
future is in good hands, right? Because
thank God, because we screwed it all up. I mean, thank God there's a cleanup. I mean, the cleanup crew is amazing.
Yeah.
I just hope they can clean up the mess.
Hopefully, we didn't screw it up that much, right? Yeah. So they'll actually be able to clean it up.
I think that we're in pretty good hands there. If we can talk about one more serious issue,
whatever you want.
We need to do a better job of feeding our kids.
Tell me about
it. When you have every Monday, there's a truck rolls up to our back door and we sell them product at a reduced price, and we look after. We make sure that it's all the best quality and we get the best deals for them, and we talk to wholesalers to ask for help and whatever we can do to help supplement it, because we have over 100 volunteers, or around 100 volunteers, that pack 3,800 meals and 250 backpacks. And the backpacks range from anywhere from 20 to 40 meals in it, depending on the size of the family. And that's every Monday. And we're in a community that probably has more high-end cars than Vancouver per capita. And we can't feed our kids properly. Something has to change.
We're one of the richest countries on the planet.
Yeah.
Nobody should be starving anywhere in this world. I mean, food is a human right. It's not a privilege. It's not an honor. It's a right. And we do a piss poor job globally. In a country as rich as ours, it's horrific.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad everywhere. But I mean, it's not like we don't have the means. It's not like we don't have the land.
And that's it.
Seriously, we lack nothing.
Yeah. We have, we even have the volunteers that now. There was a husband and wife that when she passed away, they donated 25 acres in the center of Kelowna, just off of Benvolen, and it's being managed by one of the churches, and the only mandate is that the farming has to be done for the proper reason. So there's a group that do it for the food bank. There's a group that do it for our Food for Thought group that we work with, that do the lunches and things like that. And if we could just get our government, our whether it be provincial or federal government, to just buy one less thing so that we're not paying interest on top of interest, and turn that money into the food program, we wouldn't have to worry about our kids.
I agree.
It's the things that they're worried about don't seem to make sense, because we want every child to have the opportunity to grow up healthy,
Mhm.
not worry about food, be able to get a proper education because they're not worried about food. We supply granola bars to some of the schools, so the teachers have them in their desks, because there's nobody more important than a teacher to pick out a student that's hungry.
Right.
And they do it in such an amazing way where they slip it to the child, or
That discretion is not.
there's no shaming or anything like that, or they'll say, you know what, I'm hungry, anybody else.
Yeah.
And it allows them to to not be.
Mhm.
We do the same thing. We call it a backpack program because it used to be backpacks
Right.
before COVID. Now it's a brown bag event, or a shopping bag where they keep it and it doesn't come back. So there's it's handed out in a manner that nobody really knows what's going on.
Right.
There's no collection where they have to bring it back. And it's, when a student tells, I go visit the school sometimes, and we do fun things like, we had the world's longest pancake line the other day in one of the elementary schools. It started and it went all the way down the hallway and around the corner and back down around. And, they sat there and you talk to them, oh, Easter's coming up, or spring break's coming up. What are you going to do? And they say, well, I don't really want, I'd rather stay in school, and you kind of find out, and it turns out the reason they want to stay in school is because they know they're not going to get fed as well
Right.
when they're at home that time. And it just absolutely breaks my heart. I was at one assembly, and I get emotional when it comes to kids and things like that. And this one teacher's class, Miss White, she had her students line up, and they were grade 2, 3, and each one of them had those little Kleenex packages.
Yeah.
And they each came up and presented me one, because they knew that by the end of the assembly, I'd have a tear in my eye. It was so
Dude, that's
funny.
amazing.
That's sweet.
And
That's amazing.
it's when my wife she'll come to some of the school functions, and she sits there and she'll read to them, and they just all
For sure.
just are drawn to her because she's such an amazing person. I mean, she does so much that's why I can do what I do.
Right.
Because she looks at, we've got a 15-year-old boy at home, and I have a daughter that's 37 now, and a couple of grandkids, but Jake's at home, and he's a full athlete, and she's always driving him around or getting the food or whatever it is, organizing things. And I couldn't do what I do if it wasn't for her. She's a real gift. So.
Yeah. Without my wife, I'd be a
pretty
complete
much
disaster.
I'm pretty much a disaster without Amelia too. So
I'm safe admitting it here because
Yeah.
she doesn't listen to the podcast.
my wife doesn't listen to mine either. So, and your wife doesn't even believe you're talking to us. So, quite frankly, that's just the three of us. It's all good.
We're good. Yeah,
We're good to go.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You know what, Peter? There's still a lot of hope, though, my friend. You know what? When we talk about government is people, and a lot of these young people are the ones that are going to be making the changes, right? And hopefully what's happening, and I don't know what you were like 20 years ago, but I know with my kids being the ages that they are, they've definitively softened me the older I've gotten. And I'm probably a ton more open-minded than I was when I was growing up in Trail, and would never change. That was the best growing up ever. But, as you age and as they become more open-minded, you just kind of go with them. So I think there's a lot of hope for this. And hopefully will come a day where these kids will run the government, and maybe they will stop buying stupid things and putting it to make sure we feed kids and educate kids properly.
Yeah.
But, it's unfortunate. Our generation kind of just, I don't know. I guess we did what we did.
I don't know what happened to us.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We tried.
Peter, thank you so much for coming.
Peter, you're an absolute treat to have on.
Yeah.
Seriously. I really do appreciate it. Thanks for doing this. I'm going to thank
really
Craig
do.
as well, because I know he bugged you during dinner because he's texting me, and I'm thinking, book him. Book him.
he's a pretty amazing guy too.
Yeah,
He's
Craig's
got
pretty
he's
cool.
got the same type of heart.
Yeah.
He loves to help people, and if we can't help people,
What the hell are we doing this
why
for?
bother? Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you one thing, if you want to
Yeah.
help us out and help some of the people, if you do see a lot of these unique ones, if you enjoyed this, first off, I
Yeah.
hope you did, but seriously, if you have names and you want them to be recognized or tell the story, because we're all about the story. I just love cool stories, love immigrant stories, love family stories, love all that, because it's sort of what we grew up with, right? Our parents instilled the same thing in us that your parents instilled in you. We love this stuff. But if you don't mind, pass them on. If you'd like to come back on in 6 months, tell us how the summer went, or if there's anything new and cool you're seeing, because we really skimmed the surface on what I would have loved to talk to you about. I really wanted to talk to you more about what you see, where the industry is going and the insights, not all the bullshit of the media, not that industry, but where do you think it's going? Like, what's cool and what's new? So if we can have you back on maybe in the fall, if I can bug you again, or I'll get Craig the best for you.
I would love to talk about the changes that have happened and the repurposing of the food.
Oh, I'd love to talk about upcycling and things like that for sure. Oh, all over it.
It's huge because not only is it the right thing to do, but it saves you money.
Absolutely.
You know, it saves grows, it saves shrink. There's so many things that
well, I'll tell you what,
you
think things through. We'll leave you alone for the summer because you guys are going into smoking busy season. Sounds like we're going to be piping hot the next 10 days. Hopefully we don't get a lot of snow melt. I don't know how we're going to stop that, but hopefully the floods will kind of keep to a minimum in the interior and the fires keep to a minimum, but we'll bug you in the fall. As long as you're okay with that, love that.
I have to tell you, I really enjoyed tonight.
Thank you. I enjoyed having you.
You two are very easy to talk to. I know that you had said before it was just a conversation, and that's all it was. So I appreciate that.
No, our pleasure. Thank you very much.
We really appreciate it.
Thrilled.
Thank you so
Thrilled
much.
to have you on. Seriously,
this has been amazing. Yeah.
I'll bring a guest speaker next time with me.
Up to you.
See if I can get my kid to come on.
Sure. Or or you can bring the wife on the show that actually you do have two guys.
You actually have people that want to talk to you.
There's an audience that actually listens to you.
It's about planting that seed.
I get it, man. Well, when this gets published, you can say, listen, see, this is me. Yes, talking to these two. It's not fake. Not fake news. Real news.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Anyway, young man, you go enjoy your evening. I appreciate it. Phil, you stick around. Peter, you go. And I'm going to bug you in the fall. You're good with it.
Okay. Have a great day, guys.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Bye, Peter.
Bye now.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
What a gem.
Seriously, come on.
Come on. His heart is as big as Canada.
Come on.
He's just.
You see, this is what we get. I mean, it's funny, like, because you know me, because I have a soft spot, obviously, for the Ferreros. You talk to Danny, you talk to Peter. These guys are grounded in their community. They give a shit about the people in their community. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
That was a great story. Like, I could have talked to him for hours.
We're an hour and 5 in.
Hopefully people have still they probably stopped listening once Peter left, but hopefully
yeah. But thank you.
Thanks everybody for listening. Appreciate it.